Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another The First Descendant video. My name's Sergeant Moose, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about the newest update, hotfix 1.2.7. This, of course, is the February 13th update. If you guys are familiar with the dev live stream that we just had a few days ago, they talked about this update, and we're going to kind of go through the patch notes here a little bit, guys, discuss what kind of things were changed in the game, and also give our thoughts on the update and how it's going so far. So a lot of players have been voicing their frustration, guys, over the Void Purge since 21 through 30 came out. The devs were aware of this. They made very clear they were going to make some changes to the end game of the Purge that we have so far. You know, a lot of players were having trouble getting through these solo, and a lot of players like to play this game solo as it is. So the devs, you know, they were committed to making some changes, and what I was under the impression of is they were going to make changes specifically to level 30 of the Purge, but it does appear that this update affects the other levels as well, not just 30. Essentially, guys, yes, the Purge, it got a nerf across the board. Now, when I say nerf, guys, I do say it lightly because these purges can still be tough. They still require you to, spend some time, work on your builds, work on your cores, different things like that. You're not just going to go through and just breeze through these things now. They are very similar to how they used to be, but they're a little bit more forgiving now. And getting into the patch notes, I'm not going to go through every single note of every enemy that got changed. However, it is clear that most of the elites for all the factions did get toned down a little bit, and what I mean by that is not in terms of health, but in terms of how they attack you, how they behave, and how they spawn in with each other. Essentially, at the end of the day, it is slightly easier taking on the elites in this activity. Now, another issue that we've had as well were drop rates for ammo, because weapons are a big factor in the end game of this Void Erosion Purge. A lot of people were simply running out of ammo during the activity. They couldn't find any more, and because of, time constraints in the activity, they would lose because simply they didn't have any ammo to shoot. So, what they did was they doubled the drop rates of all tiers of rounds. So, you're going to see a lot more drops of the rounds you're using in this activity, and I think that is an absolutely perfect change, guys. I don't see any issues with that, and I don't really see how anybody would think that's a bad change as well. The only thing it's doing is just making sure that there's ammo in your weapon, and it certainly has worked. It has changed. I've noticed differences. Also, guys, they changed the reward distribution rules for the Purge so that clear rewards are rewarded upon completion of the mission regardless of the penalty duration. So if you're taking a little bit longer, you're getting some penalties, you're dying, stuff like that, you're still going to have a chance to get decent rewards out of this Purge. So it's not just going to be a lot of wasted time, whether you pass it or don't pass it, you're still going to get rewarded for that so you can further enhance your character and your weapons. So they changed the monster combinations and spawn patterns, as we talked about earlier, in stages 21 through 30. Again, like I said, I was under the impression that this update was only going to affect level 30, but it actually is affecting 21 through 30 as well. They reduced some of the spawn rates of some of the characters. They toned down some of the tracking, attacks from these characters, and certain things like that. For each faction individually, too, they toned a lot of stuff down. So that is for the Purge, guys. Again, a lot of things got toned down a little bit. However, I will say, for me, in my personal opinion, I'm not a top 1% player. The mode still feels challenging. Yes, it does feel a little bit easier and manageable. However, it's still fun to go through, and you can still make builds around this Purge. So if you're like me and you don't want to have to rely on a specific character or specific team comp to be able to complete these purges, you just want to go in with a character that you like, that you can build up, that may be more possible now. And of course, I like using Haley in these Void Erosion Purges. Now we're able to get through all 30 levels with her, and of course I'll be sharing the builds on my channel very, very soon. But, it kind of alleviates the process of having to rely on, Glay with the restored relic, blowing up your screen, as everybody's doing, and that's the current meta in the game right now. You can actually have a little more versatility there. And just to touch on solo, guys, they did reduce the difficulty for the solo mode, and what they did was they increased the attribute attack of weapons in the Purge. They nerfed commander monsters for 2 to 4 player modes in the Void Erosion Purge as well. Now, getting into a few Descendants, guys, we have some changes coming in for Ines. They increased the number of hits according to the skill range of Ines now changes when the skill range module is equipped, and applied the base skills Chain Lightning, Lightning Conductor, and Snare Hunter. So all three of those skills applied to Floating Lightning of the skill module Time of the Hunting Grounds. Also for Keelan, a little bit of love, not a whole lot. But for Keelan, we have the increase in number of targets according to the skill range of Keelan now changes when the skill range module is equipped, and it's applied to the base skill Void Corrosion. Now, as we talked about, guys, they did make some changes to legendary weapons, the Last Dagger, Restored Relic, and Sigvor's Proof. We're not going to get into full detail on this video of what that is, but we do have the summary of the live stream, and also they talk about it on their live stream, what those changes are as well. Again, we'll link all these patch notes down in the description. Also, guys, firearm attack, they increased for rare weapons. They did talk about how they were going to buff those up a little bit to help players, newer players that are trying to get through the beginning of the game and, level up their weapons and their characters and stuff like that, get through it a little bit easier with these rare weapons. Now, as far as like the major fixes and changes, guys, we pretty much got through all that, but there is a lot of bug fixes and stuff that you might be interested. Again, we'll link that down below. But we do have some new goodies, some new outfits, emotes, all that cool stuff coming in. In the shop, we have the new emotes for the Hot Springs event. We have 5 new emotes for that. We also have 2 spawn emotes coming in. We have a new Sieve, a UI, a name card. We have a bunch more paint coming in. And we also have skin bundles for the characters. Of course, it's been a hot topic of discussion. The Hot Springs outfits, they do come in bundles, guys, that you can buy as well. So we have the men's Oasis, we have all of the female Oasis, plus we have the Valentine's Day skins as well. And now you can also buy paint in bundles, which is pretty cool as well. Also, guys, of course, we had the Lunar New Year event. We had the Ines event. Now we have Operation Kate's Experiment Assistant event coming in as well, which has daily challenges, weekly challenges, and it also offers some pretty cool rewards. So definitely jump in, get your logins and all that stuff, and see what Kate has to offer. There's a lot of cool stuff in there as well. And just to finish up on the patch notes, guys, we do have a director's comment from Minseok Ju. He says, as I mentioned on Discord and the dev live stream, this hotfix focuses on improving the gameplay experience of Void Erosion Purge while addressing elements that may have caused discomfort. However, the issue of certain weapon metas being overly required at higher difficulties has not yet been fully resolved. The reason we couldn't address this issue immediately is due to the performance gap between Descendants. If we balance the difficulty based on top-tier Descendants, most other Descendants will struggle to play effectively. Conversely, if we adjust the difficulty to accommodate lower-performing Descendants, the leaderboard risks being dominated by only a selected few, diminishing the content's value as a challenge. To fundamentally resolve this issue, we plan to first adjust the balance between Descendants and then refine the gameplay experience of Void Erosion Purge. However, with the ongoing preparation for Season 2, Episode 2, and live service management, we regret that we could not implement these improvements as quickly as possible. We sincerely apologize for this delay. We will share further details as soon as we finalize our improvement plans and schedule. We deeply apologize to all players who have been disappointed with the Void Erosion Purge content. To deliver better content, we will actively seek ways to engage with the community and gather feedback before updates, ensuring a more stable live service experience. Thank you as always for the feedback. So to touch on that a little bit, guys, in my opinion, that was the absolute best part of this entire patch, was Minseok Ju's comment right there regarding the Void Erosion Purge, and he is exactly right. And here's where we kind of come into my thoughts on this update. He is exactly right. With the top 1% competing for the leaderboards, I feel like this game has kind of dug themselves a little bit into a hole with the introduction of leaderboards. And that's not to say that leaderboards are a bad thing, guys, but now you have a new competitive aspect to the game that you've implemented that you probably didn't have to, but they did nonetheless. So what this means is, yes, the top tier players are not going to be happy when content gets nerfed, and lower tier casual players aren't going to be happy when content gets buffed, and a lot of this issue has to do with the leaderboards. Now, a lot of things I have been seeing, in Discord and the dev live stream, a lot of folks banging the table, especially, the top 1% folks, really, really upset that the content has now been kind of nerfed down for them a little bit, so they're going to get through it much easier than before. But in my personal opinion, guys, this game, when it first came out, this game was made for a more casual, kind of laid-back experience, and that's what players expect. The majority of players expect from this game is, yes, a little bit of a challenge, but also they want to be able to get through this content without, having too many roadblocks. And also, a lot of players, they've gotten used to and accustomed to playing through this game as a solo player, and that's the way they want to keep it. So, it's in the case of the old saying that goes, if you appease only to the top 1% of players, that's probably all you're going to have left is the 1%. So, the game right now, it's not anywhere close to being dead or anything like that or dying, but it's also no secret that it has fallen off as of late. And in my personal opinion, guys, a good marketing way to bring this game back is to not make super competitive content that's only going to appease to a few players, but make something that everybody can jump in and enjoy. I mean, I know that's probably not going to make a lot of people happy, what I mean by that, but at the same time, I think they have to think of more of a business standpoint here, and how can they, increase this player retention, bring players back, and make people want to play the game. And this is the way, in my opinion, to appease to more of the masses as opposed to just the top tier players. So that's my take on it, guys. Like I said, these endgame levels of the Void Erosion Purge, they're still not just simply a walk through the park. It's not anything overly easy. It's still difficult. You still have to go through. You have to min-max your builds, all that cool stuff. But now I feel like you're going to be rewarded a little bit better if you have a good build and you spent a lot of time making your build. You're going to be rewarded by being able to actually finish these Purge missions and move on to the next one. So that's my opinion on that, guys. Like I said, I think the devs kind of dug themselves in a hole a little bit with the leaderboards, and now they have to appease to two different types of players, whereas before the leaderboards, they only had to focus on, the main group of players. But with all that said, guys, let me know down in the comments what you think of this update. What's your thoughts on it? Or is it a good update? Is it a bad update? In my personal opinion, guys, I think this update was fantastic, especially for players that don't have 10 hours a day to sit there in front of their screen and, min-max all of their builds and do all that stuff. Some people have to work, they have lives, kids, families, stuff like that. So, I think this is going to make a lot of people happy. But with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you guys enjoy the First Descendant content here on the channel, please feel free to support me as your creator in the First Descendant. I'll leave my code here up on the screen, and we will see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much, guys.